I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
I am running things now!
Don't underestimate me, Charlie. Believe everything you've heard. By the way, we had that water brought in special for you folks. Came from Well and Hinkley.
Well, I'll let you in on a little secret, Doctor. You can have it. I didn't want it in the first place. You think it's a privilege to watch young men die? What am I arguing with you for? You do not know enough to study boiled water. How dare you come down here and judge me?
I'm also just a girl. Standing in front of a boy. Asking him to love her.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why, I'm mixing up the intro. Welcome back to episode 60, which is quite a big number, of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. And my name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe. How are you? Okay. How are you?
I'm okay, man. I think I'm better than you. What's going on?
Okay. As I've just told you, I'm exhausted now. I can't even do the intro. You confused me so much by mixing it up, you know?
I know. I'm so sorry.
Is this even the Best Thing We've Seen podcast?
I hope so. We'll see. We'll see. How you doing? I mean,
yeah.
You just told me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired, but
Sure.
I'm excited because I've watched so many movies for this special, which is, of course, about the great Julia Roberts, as you all know by, clicking on this video and listening to the intro, which Flo is going to edit together, which I'm sure was amazing. What an intro.
Don't put pressure on me.
It's the best intro yet, and if it isn't,
thank you.
We'll give you
Another chance in 4 weeks.
An apology. Yeah, okay. But no, yeah, I'm tired, but I've watched a lot of things for this new special, and I'm so unsure of what you're gonna pick because I noticed how little I've actually seen from her.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this because we just spoke a little bit before, and a couple of even weeks ago you mentioned that you watched quite a few things already, and I didn't get around to watching half the things I wanted to watch. I didn't get around to rewatch anything. I just added some things that I was missing, but then again, once again, like you just said, I feel like you watched everything she ever did. And
there's
I feel
so much I haven't seen. I'm sure you're going to have like 2 or 3 picks that I didn't even know existed.
Oh, I doubt that. But I've seen a lot of things like on Netflix currently starring Julia Roberts. Like even if you just type in Julia Roberts, there's a lot of movies coming up on Netflix.
I always do that as well when we have a special coming up. But it wasn't that much, right? I mean, of course, all the ocean movies, which are at least 3. And then we got...
Yeah.
I don't know if they got all of them on Netflix, but...
I don't know. I think so. No, but I haven't seen barely any of the Netflix films that I wanted to watch. Right?
Okay.
So I know, I've written them all down here. I know there will be a couple. I assume they're going to make you a list, and I'm going to be like, I wanted to watch it, but I didn't get around to them. But let's just dive right into it. I'm excited about this too, because Julia Roberts... a legend already. Surely, right? Gotta be.
Yeah, she's just one of those actresses I think everybody knows from something. She's like, I don't know, who's a big actress in her league?
Oh, well, Meryl Streep. I don't know, but
Meryl Streep is
maybe
maybe a
step
bit
above.
higher. Yeah, but I mean, like, maybe Angelina Jolie, just from the name, but I think she's just way more well-known and acclaimed for her acting. I mean, Angelina Jolie is just Angelina Jolie, Everybody knows her.
If you're listening, Angelina, don't take it too hard.
I'm so sorry, yeah. But I don't know, she's even more of a name than, I guess, Amy Winehouse. She's just...
Amy Winehouse? What's going on?
Adams. I don't know what the fuck is going on today. Also, a great name.
She's a pretty famous person too, yeah?
Yeah. But Jesus Christ, okay, let's just get into it before I don't know what I'm going to say. All right,
it's going to be interesting.
Know who's going to start, but for anybody that's new to our special episodes, welcome. You're in for a treat, I hope. But who we talk about the best thing that we've seen from a person's career. Recently, we've also talked about a director, but now we're back with an actress. So we're going to talk about the best thing that we've seen from her career, meaning anything from a movie, TV show to maybe an interview that we found particularly interesting.
Oh, interesting. But is that going to be a big one?
I don't know.
Interesting.
It's
never
been
even thought
before,
of that.
with Bradley Cooper. We've had two YouTube things.
I didn't think of that as an interview, but you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
As pretty much always, it's going to be mainly, if not exclusively, movies. But who knows? I mean, maybe you're going to throw me a curveball.
Sure.
Is that what they say in America?
That's what the cool kids say. Yeah,
Football things?
It's more of a baseball thing, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. It's part of the joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not as funny when I call it out. Anyway.
Say it again.
Football?
Right.
Yeah. Hilarious. Okay.
I can tell this is going to be a good episode.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, we're going to do this in the form of a top 10 list. I know I'm all over this place.
I love it.
This episode.
I love it.
But we're going to do this in the form of a top 10 list, and we're going to count down to the best thing that we've seen from that person. In this case, of course, the great Julia Roberts. And we're going to, of course, compare our notes if we have the same thing on a relatively similar place. So if I have, I don't know, whatever movie in my number 10 slot, and he's got it and the Flo's got it on his number 8 slot, we can talk about it. But if I have it on my number 10 and he has it as his number 1, the best thing, then we're going to postpone the discussion for later.
Right.
And yeah, with that, I think that's everything you need to know if you're new. And sit back, enjoy.
Yeah.
Cook, drink.
Cook something good.
Do other things. Yeah. Enjoy.
You've obviously said it before, but we don't know each other's picks. That's always the interesting thing for the two of us. And yeah, I mean, I just looked it up. It's going to be your turn to start this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to ask you, because we talked about Julia Roberts quite a bit over the last couple of years, and what was the discussion? Was you always liked her, or there was one thing where either we talked about how beautiful she was and you didn't agree with that, or it was you what was it? Have you always liked her as an actress?
I think what I said is that I like 2 or 3 movies with her, but other than that, I never saw her as like the big actress,
Okay.
I didn't understand all of the hype, but now I got some time to watch a lot of new stuff. I've told Flo before we started recording that most of the things that I saw in the last week or two were things that I hadn't before.
Right.
And I found great enjoyment and even more appreciation for Julia Roberts now, because I think there are only like 3 or 4 movies on this list that I had seen
That's
before.
interesting. That's so interesting.
So yeah, there was just so much more than I thought there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to have seen them finally. Some of them.
I mean, nowadays she's not doing much anymore. Like recent work, like a couple of things every other year. But I'm always looking forward to her new movies. And what was the last thing she did?
It's a great question.
Let's have a quick look before we dive straight in. The last thing she did was, Homecoming, which is the show that I haven't seen. I don't know if you saw this. I think it's an Amazon show.
I thought about watching it for the special, but I just didn't find time for a whole show.
Yeah.
And I think she did Wonder which was a bit of a smaller role for her, playing the mother of Jacob Tremblay.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, even that was like 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but
I mean, she's got 14 things upcoming.
Okay, wow.
And one in 2021, which is a show or a short series. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the best things we've seen. And please, you start us off.
Yeah. So the best thing, or not the best thing, my number 10 best thing. My number 10 spot is Mona Lisa's Smile.
I'm so excited for this list already. Yeah. Didn't make my list.
Did you watch it though?
Yes.
Okay. So this is once again a movie that I hadn't watched before. And I heard so many great things about this movie.
Okay.
I'd say it didn't blow me away, so it's just my number 10. But I did find a lot of enjoyment in there, just on the subject matter. Because if you don't know Mona Lisa's Smile, it's set in the 50s, where Julia Roberts plays a teacher who switches to a private college for girls. In, of course, a time where it was even more a patriarchal society than it was today, of course. Ends up with her teaching her students new ways to look at art because she's, of course, the art teacher, and kind of challenges the view of the world and the role of women. And yeah,
she's a little more liberal in her approach than everyone else seems to be.
Yes, which is, of course, a problem with the school, but it also gives her the platform to bond with some of her students, played by quite acclaimed actresses, at least now. I think those were some of the earlier roles for them, but her students are played, among others, by Kirsten Dunst and Maggie Gyllenhaal, who are both, of course, great actresses.
Yeah, Julia Stiles.
Julia Stiles, of course, as well. Yeah, those are like the big three. And then another actress who, I don't know.
Jennifer Goodwin?
Maybe?
Yeah, she voiced, in Zootopia, she voiced the main character.
Okay.
I forgot her name now.
Wouldn't have noticed. Yeah. It's also got, I sadly forgot her name, but the actress from Breaking Bad who plays
Kristen
Jesse's
Ritter.
girlfriend, Kristen Ritter, plays an extra in this movie. She doesn't have, I think, a single line, but she's great.
She's fantastic.
But yeah, it was a very enjoyable movie with some funny scenes, but it was a bit cheesy at times.
It really was. I mean, yeah.
And there was just this very unnecessary love story, in my opinion, between her and another teacher, because it was all about emancipation and that you do not need to marry to be a full woman, and that she doesn't want to marry a certain guy, and then it just ends up in a love story anyway, because it's, I guess, a Hollywood movie and you gotta have a love story.
Sure, of course.
And then I also read up on some of the historical facts and motifs that the film is built on, because the school that they portray in the movie is, of course, a real private college. And apparently everybody says that this is not at all accurate. They didn't have like those classes where they're taught how to behave during dinner and that they're taught to care for their husbands, but it was a very liberal college, and they had very open talks about sex and everything, and it wasn't as repressed as the movie showed it to be.
Right.
But then I guess I enjoyed the movie, not like the history lesson behind it.
Sure.
So I could let that slide, but I understand why you would have a problem if you knew people who went there, or if you were a person who went there yourself. But all in all, I think it's just an enjoyable, feel-good movie.
It is enjoyable.
I don't know why you didn't put it on your list. I mean, not that it's a must, but just, I don't know what you thought about it when you first saw it.
Well, it's just, I think Kirsten Dunst's character has got to be one of the most unlikable characters I remember seeing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which she's supposed to be, of course.
Yeah.
That's just one thing that sticks out to me. And to praise the movie, there was one scene, I did watch this for the show, so I saw it recently. But there was one scene where Julia Roberts' character, she sort of challenges Julia Stiles' character. She wants her to go to law school. But then there's this scene like in front of the door where she says like, no, this is what I want to do. I thought that was quite a good scene. It's nice to see like the other perspective too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not a must. I mean, some people do want to have a home life.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? But what I didn't quite understand as well was pretty much the very last scene. And a character kind of makes up with her, and then they have this very strong bond. And I was like, when did this happen?
So cheesy, that shot of her just trying to keep up.
Yeah, it was a bit much. I mean, from all the characters who would do that, I thought she would be the last, you know, but okay, yeah, Hollywood. It's a very Hollywood-esque movie, and it's just, it's a very cheesy and it's a very feel-good movie, but if you're looking for that type of movie, it's great. And I mean, Julia Roberts does lay down quite a good performance, in my opinion.
I think she's always good.
Yeah.
I found that in my, I was about to say research, which is a bit far-fetched, but I found that in watching some of the things now and just over the past few decades that I've watched her movies, that she's always good.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a bad performance by her.
Yeah. Well, Mother's Day, right? I just remember that wasn't the best movie, but I'm not going to blame her for that.
I remember the movie being bad, but I do not remember anything about the movie.
Yeah. I was just joking. I can't
don't
remember
even
her
know
performance.
what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 10 spot. What about you?
Well, you might be mad at me here for my 10 spot, but
Let's go.
I have to. Well, when I put this list together, okay, I'll pull back a little bit because you wanted to borrow a movie that you'd seen before. and I was like, she's only in that movie for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And
You bastard.
No. Listen, I thought, because I hadn't really watched any new things by that point, I thought this wasn't making my list because her part is so small, and I was going to watch other things that are going to take over that part, right? But then now I'm thinking, I have to put on my favorite movies here. It's always the struggle of like, am I going to put on the movies that I love and she has a small part in it, or am I going to focus on her bigger roles? And I feel it's got to be a mixture of both. But my number 10 might be one of my absolute favorite movies of hers, but it's only my number 10 spot because she's in it for literally 10 minutes, which is Charlie Wilson's War. And I'm not going to delve into this because you wanted to I feel bad because I mean I did offer buy to buy the Blu-ray of me. I did offer you to borrow it, but I talked about this before in the Amy Adams special. It's just one of my favorite Sorkin scripts, and Julia Roberts, she's literally in it for 10 minutes as a former lover of Tom Hanks and a friend who sort of entices him to help out some other people. And, you know, it's a very small role. She's great in the 10 minutes that she's in, but, you know, it's a Philip Seymour Hoffman who steals the show, who steals every scene he's in. And obviously Amy Winehouse is in this.
Yeah, great.
Yep,
she's always great.
Yep. And Tom Hanks says that, I mean, it's like a war. Someone who's like, I don't even know how to describe this movie in a quick way. It's just like Tom Hanks is what is he? A governor? No, it's not a governor. Congressman?
Congressman, yeah. That sounds right.
And he's sort of, he's dealing in Afghanistan, and he's trying to arm people over there. And it's a serious subject, but Sorkin makes it so funny and lighthearted at times where it's allowed to be lighthearted. And I just absolutely, I love that movie, but I don't want to dwell on it for too much longer. We talked about it on the Amy Adams special, and as I said before, Julia Roberts is a very small part in this. Yeah,
interesting. Like you said, I want to rewatch it, but then you point out how little she's in that movie, and I don't even think it would have made my list. Although I do agree that it's one of the best movies that she's been in, but it's just not a Julia Roberts movie for me. But
no, 100%. I thought about literally like, am I just going to mention this movie at the end like as an honorable? But then I'm like, I'm talking about my favorite Julia Roberts movies. That is one of them, you know?
Yeah, sure.
But that's it, yeah.
All right, so on to my number 9, and I just looked it up. This is the most recent movie by Julia Roberts, and I maybe would have even liked to put it a little higher. I had trouble to kind of sort out my list, but my number 9 is Ben is Back.
That's my 8.
All right, perfect.
Yes.
It's pretty close. So if you don't know, Ben is Back is a family drama, a quite serious one, where Julia Roberts plays the mother of Lucas Hedges, or at least Lucas Hedges portrays her son in this movie, who is an addict who comes home for Christmas. And it's, of course, the trouble that he's put his family through, and then having trouble to, of course, trust him.
Right, he shows up unannounced.
Yes.
They're all they didn't expect him to. They didn't expect to see him.
Yeah, back from rehab, and of course she has now a new husband. Well, she has had a new husband for many years. His stepfather is not as confident in his rehabilitation and how quick it all went, and he's just looking out for his wife and his kids, and just wants to make sure that what he's saying is genuine. And this, of course, puts Julia Roberts' character in a tough position, especially when he starts to slip.
Yes.
And the whole movie takes place over 1 or 2 days of him being back during Christmas, and I think it's just actually 1 day, right?
I think it's 1 day, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, wanting her son to be better, but being extremely strict because she knows how quickly he can slip and how everything can go down. So she doesn't even want to let him alone for a minute or so. And it's just heartbreaking at times. And it takes a very steep and dark turn, which I enjoyed. I didn't know that this movie would play out this way, and I think it was great. I mean, I don't know how you found the film or even the ending, because it's quite ambiguous, I guess, as well.
Well,
yeah.
I love this movie, yes.
Yeah.
And I thought it was incredibly well done how tense everything was, because it's never like shown there's always like, they talk about like previous Christmases where he showed up to, and all went to shit, but you never like see any flashbacks. And I thought that was extremely well done, because it's such a tense thing. You always like wonder what's going to happen, and it feels like everything will turn like within a split second.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, Julia Roberts is like this obsessive, well, she's trying to be protective, but also she loves her son so much. And she plays that. You see her being torn, like she doesn't know what to do. She just wants the best thing for everybody. And I thought she's terrific in that movie, and so is Lucas Hedges.
Yeah.
And everyone else. Also like the sister, Catherine Newton.
She was great, yeah.
Yeah.
I think from Julia Roberts' performances, I think this one was amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
And what's also interesting about this movie, it's directed by Peter Hedges, the father of Lucas
literally
Hedges.
waiting to say that.
Yeah.
We're vibing. We're vibing. Yeah.
We always are. That's why we have this podcast.
Yeah. I wouldn't say
Two
always,
souls.
but sure.
One mind. No, but that's interesting. And I read somewhere that he didn't even want to cast his own son. It was Julia Roberts who insisted after seeing him in Manchester by the Sea.
Which is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years.
Amazing movie. You're absolutely right there. And what's also interesting, I didn't notice, Peter Hedges wrote the novel and the screenplay for What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which we talked about recently on our DiCaprio special. No idea. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's the same guy. But
also, I think he directed Dan in Real Life, which is a Steve Carell movie. And I remember in one of the interviews that I saw of Lucas Hedges, he talked about he's in like the end scene where he's just a dancing extra in the background, a kid, uncredited, obviously. But yeah, and this is now, I think, their first like real collaboration as father and son.
Nice.
And
It's so weird to see how everything is kind of connected, or a lot of things. You often hear like, this guy is very good friends with this guy, and he knows that family. So, wow, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's one big family in Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say with Ben is Back, I didn't necessarily love like the whole like last 30 to 35 minutes of them like like tracking back every stop he's ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stay vague here, but you know what I mean. It just felt like two different movies now. The first half is like a family drama, and the second one is more like I don't even know what.
Crime thriller?
Yeah, crime thriller, yeah. But then the end got me again. I really, really liked the very last scene. You talked about the ambiguity of it all. I like that.
Yeah, me too. I think if they had gone on longer, it would have kind of fizzled out. The whole tension, the whole, I don't know, excitement of the whole thing. But yeah, I think the ending was quite good. But also because you said that the genres change quite a bit, which I agree, but there's this one scene, for example, where he goes to visit his old teacher's house.
Yeah.
And she kind of realizes in what he had gotten himself into when he was a kid, and just her slowly realizing the whole implications of his troubles that he had gone through, and her not even knowing about them.
Yeah.
I think that was great, that scene alone.
Yeah, and also the scene where he's at the AA meeting. I don't even know if it's AA. It's probably not AA, but no, that's Anonymous Alcoholics, right?
Yeah.
No, but like a self-help group.
Right.
And she's sitting in the background, and you can sort of, the camera's on him, and you can see her reacting in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a tremendous scene. The acting in this movie is tremendous.
It is. It really is. I think the ratings don't even really show that, because the movie is quite mediocrely rated.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't think a lot of people saw it, have seen it.
Yeah, fair enough. I hadn't seen it before now, or like a week ago.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's number 9. What's your number 9?
I'm literally the same thing, and then I'm done with this. My 9 is the exact same thing with number 10. She's in it for too little to be my number 1, which it might actually be, but I'm just gonna go the whole Ocean series.
Okay. Wow. I thought the Ocean series was going to be higher on your list.
Well, I already did it on the Brad Pitt special, on the Matt Damon special, and now Julia Roberts. I mean, listen, she's great at it. She's great at it. And especially in the second one, as Julia Roberts. She's fantastic. But she's in it for so little again. I mean, maybe not even so little, but it's not her movie, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair enough. But doesn't she have a bigger role in the first one? I don't even remember.
I think in the second one. In the first one, she...
What's the second one?
I mean, the bigger it's difficult to sort of define bigger role. I mean, she's in the first one. She's now together with Andy Garcia's character and the ex of George Clooney. Obviously, I mean, she's great in it. Once again, I just don't think it's her movie, and that's why it's only my number 9. But I love her in it, and I love the whole franchise.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say about the whole thing about her pretending to be Julia Roberts in Ocean's 12?
What do you mean? What do I think about it? I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was funny as a kid. You know, it's that meta thing.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I used to think it was funnier than I do now. I mean, it's kind of tongue in cheek, as they say, I think.
Of course.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Once again, I thought about excluding the Ocean series for the reasons I just listed. Same with Charlie Wilson's War.
Mm-hmm.
I included them now. They would be higher if if it's like favorite movies rather than performances. But from now on, I'm going to talk about some real like Julia Roberts movies.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so my number 8 and I think my number 7, I couldn't decide in which order to put them. I would put them both on 7.5, just to make that clear. I just couldn't decide. I ultimately decided to put Steel Magnolia on number 8 because her role is maybe a bit smaller than it is in my number 7 pick.
Okay.
But I don't assume that's anywhere near your list.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, fair enough.
One of those Netflix things.
Yeah,
that's on Netflix,
that's right.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think they took it down at the end of March.
Okay.
But yeah, Steel Magnolias is one of her earlier roles, of course, and it also got her first Oscar nomination, which, good for her.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. She got 4 Oscar nominations, and one of them was a win. She was nominated for Steel Magnolia, Erin Brockovich, August in Osage County, or just August Osage County, and in I'm forgetting one. Pretty Woman, she was also nominated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steel Magnolia it's a big movie, it's a big cast, and I think it's actually based on a theater on a play.
Right.
Which is something that kind of repeats throughout her career. There are quite a few of those films.
Yeah.
Some of which I'm sure we're going to get to it at some point. But it's got a huge cast, including Sally Field and, of course, the great Dolly Parton. Because if you don't like Dolly Parton, you're not human.
Is that so? Okay.
It is. I mean, she's not the greatest actress, but I think she's just such a likable person and great music.
Yeah.
But that's not the point of this movie, of course. Because in this movie, it's set in a little town where it starts off with Julia Roberts' character getting married. And it's her wedding day and her going to the hairdresser where Dolly Parton works, and she goes there with her mother, played by Sally Field. And then it's about her, how much she loves the guy she's about to marry, but she also has some very serious diabetes. And it's about the town, the different people in the town, and it's, I think, told in like 3 or 4 storylines coming together, like friends who all have their own stuff going on. For example, Sally Field and her daughter, Julia Roberts, and then you got Dolly Parton and her new apprentice, and then you got the other neighbor who's just so grumpy, and the other one, and it's mostly the whole movie is just them talking, and they all have their own stuff going on, and then talking before the wedding, and then it suddenly jumps to later where Julia Roberts' character is now pregnant, which is a big deal because due to her diabetes, this could mean some serious stuff. And it's about her mother being worried, and then jumps again in a couple of years, and then again a couple of years. I'm not going to spoil what's going to happen. But I didn't know that this movie was set up this way, and I enjoyed it immensely. And I think Julia Roberts was, first of all, great in this movie. And everybody kind of acts a bit over the top in how they act and perform, but I think it just fits the movie perfectly, and I think just the dialogue is great, and I think just the whole cast seemed to fit so well together, and I enjoyed it immensely, to be honest.
Is it funny?
It is at times. They have a lot of funny lines of them just kind of having fun with each other and just
shooting the shit.
Shooting the shit, that's a perfect word. And one of the more grumpy neighbors, she has a bit of a rivalry, a friendly rivalry with one of her best friends and just them making fun of each other, which is just great. I think the acting was just good. I mean, it's not like Oscar-worthy acting, but just perfect for that kind of movie. And I think it's just a
She was
mixture of
nominated, no?
She was, yeah, but the rest
Oh, you're
wasn't.
talking about the rest? Oh, yeah.
The rest, yeah. But yeah, I think it's just a fun movie. And it does take some darker turns, which I didn't expect, just in how serious it all became. And Sally Field, also great. And yeah, I think I would recommend this movie because it was a movie that wasn't anywhere near my radar at first.
Yeah.
I kind of then saw it on Netflix, and I mainly wanted to watch it because of Dolly Parton. I didn't even notice that Julia Roberts was in this one, but yeah, good movie. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had realized that this was her first award Oscar nomination, I would have watched it. It just never really was. It was never really that interesting to me from the premise. But
fair enough.
I mean,
I don't think you would have enjoyed it as much as I did.
Okay.
Just what I know of your likes and dislikes, but what do I know?
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what you like anymore. So. I don't know.
All right. So what's your? Well, we got your number 8,
sir.
so I guess it's back to my number 7.
Yep.
Christ. Okay.
My 8 was Ben is back. Yeah.
Right. All right. So it's my number 7, which I said could be on the same spot as Steel Magnolia, and it's Stepmom.
Yeah, I knew it. I honestly knew you were going to say that now. Yeah, I haven't seen it. That's another Netflix film that I haven't seen.
So Stepmom is a movie that I watched once again for this special, and I did not expect to like it at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's just such a sweet movie about Julia Roberts being the stepmom of Susan Sarandon's kids, or like her character's kids, and having to deal with that, and her husband, played by Ed Harris, who we've talked about a couple of times now.
Have we?
I think so.
I mean, he's in a lot of movies, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's about her, of course, the kids don't liking her, and one of the kids is played by Jenna Malone, who's also in Donnie Darko.
Yeah. I knew that was the yeah. That's why you watched it.
I didn't even know that. It was just a very pleasant surprise. Although she's a very small kid, but she was even good back then. And yeah, I think it had more humor and better acting than I expected. And of course, once again, more of a serious tone than I expected. I think it's just a very sweet film, and I think it's just a film that pretty much everyone can enjoy. I wouldn't know anybody who was like, I fucking hate this. This is trash. I mean, tastes are different, but I think this is just that kind of movie that nobody hates, you know?
I watched the trailer for this.
Yeah,
and
you hated
I feel like it's the most predictable movie I've never seen. Is that right?
Fair, but I guess just how her and Susan Sarandon act together, of course, because apparently they're friends. That's why they did this movie together.
You know, I'm 100% sure that the acting is off the charts in this. I'm not being sarcastic at all. I know they're both great in this. I've heard great things about it, but it's just I watched the trailer, and not even like it's not that the trailer gave too much away. It's just like me thinking I already know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess from most of these movies on that list, this is another very Hollywood movie.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess it's quite predictable. I think you can figure out a lot of the stuff that is going to happen. And now that we talk about Hollywood things, I think the thing about Julia Roberts, she's just one of the Hollywood actresses, you know?
What do you mean?
She does those classic Hollywood movies, which I don't mean in a bad or good way.
Well, it's those 90s, early 2000 movies, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that they are literally of their time, those movies, and you can see that, and I love them too. And she's the queen of those movies. I don't know.
She really is, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the whole movie. Her, of course, fighting for the respect of the kids and for the respect of Susan Sarandon, who, of course, thinks she's not capable of anything. But what I found quite disappointing was Ed Harris's character, who is, of course, the new boyfriend of Julia Roberts, is in this movie for so little. And I mean, the thing that kind of connects Susan Sarandon and Julia Roberts is Ed Harris, but he's in that movie for, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Well, it's not his movie, is it? I mean, it's about
No,
the
but-
two women. Yeah.
But it's like the connection and
Sure.
why she even builds that connection to the kids, why she even tries is because she loves him. And she says that she repeatedly says that, she wants to try that because it's her life as well. And the kids now partly live at her place as well. So she wants to try, of course. But we so rarely see them together, really being a couple.
Yeah.
Which I think they could have used like 10, 15 minutes more of just them. But yeah, that's my number 7.
My 7 is Duplicity.
Fuck, okay.
What do you mean, fuck?
I pondered yesterday evening if I should watch this.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I already watched 2 other things yesterday, and I was like, I doubt that this is gonna make either your or my list.
Oh, come on, it says me written all over.
Yeah, I mean, it's like government something,
Right. Thriller, good old spy thriller, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what happens in this movie, but yeah, okay, good to know.
I think this came out on Netflix, like, by the time this podcast airs, like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Something like that.
On the 1st of April.
Yeah. Go watch it. No, I mean, and this is, once again, I'm not saying Duplicity is a better movie than Ocean's 11, and I'm definitely comparing the two because they're quite similar.
Sure.
But she's got a much, I mean, she's the star of Duplicity alongside with Clive Owen.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside with, it's not English, alongside Clive Owen. And it's about, I mean, they're both agents, spies, or whatever, and this movie, dude, it's written and directed by Tony Gilroy. Now, Tony Gilroy, he wrote and directed Michael Clayton, and he's the brother of Dan Gilroy, who made like Nightcrawler. Very talented family.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
There was one other film that I wanted to mention, The Bourne Supremacy. Wow, that's a selling point.
That?
No, he wrote the Bourne Identity and the Bourne Supremacy. Oh, hold on. Did he write every single Bourne movie? He wrote every single Bourne movie.
Okay.
And State of Play, which we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
But he directed Rogue One. He wrote Rogue One. My God.
Really?
Yeah. The Great Wall. Fantastic.
The classic.
Yeah. No, sorry, but he directed this. He hasn't directed much, but Duplicity is one of them. And it's about these two guys falling in love, Clive Owen and Julia Roberts, and both sort of working on the same case. Now, Julia Roberts is sort of a mole. She, like at Tom Wilkinson's firm, they're like planning to announce the next big thing, and she's sort of infiltrated that in order to get information for Paul Giamatti's firm. Paul Giamatti and Tom Wilkinson are sort of the two businessmen fighting head to head, and there's this great scene, I think, in the first 10 minutes where they're both like at an airport, maybe it's even the opening, at an airport, and there's a slow motion fight between the two of them, which is, it just sets up the film fantastically, in my opinion. It is like a tongue-in-cheek movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously by any means, and I think that's perfect. I mean, the tone is just, it's like an Ocean's film. It's got this, the director plays with the genre, and that's a genre that you're supposed to play with and have fun with, and that movie does that. I mean, it's a lot of twists and turns, so many that I couldn't even recite all of them now.
Wow, okay.
I mean, you know these movies, right?
Of course,
this movie does not have like one big twist. It's got like 17.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the very last reveal is quite cool, and I really like that. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's fun. It's fun, and it feels like an older movie than it is because it came out in like 2009, and this feels like I don't know, maybe mid-90s movie, and it feels like a movie that is not of its time.
But is it fun or funny?
No, it's not really funny. It's
okay.
It's
fun.
It's
less humorous. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I loved Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite character actors, and he's great, funny at times when he's throwing fits. And yeah, but that's about it. It's not like laugh out loud funny, that movie, at all.
Okay, interesting. Then I might give it a shot now, but
it is.
I guess it.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. No, I just want to say it seems like more your genre, I guess, than it is mine.
According to Wikipedia, it's a romantic crime comedy. It's a very specific genre.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
Right? And it's got an interesting structure to the movie because it does have flashbacks. Like it tells, like, what was the movie that I talked about recently where it's like that? Where you start off in the future and then it tells the backstory. Cherry, my man. My man. Nice. Yeah, it's sort of like that. You sort of see them interacting for the first time and then well, not for the first time, but you sort of see them when the movie starts and then it tells the story of how they first met. And it's written, there's like a certain, they meet each other a couple of times and their dialogue is identical. And it's very weird and off-putting when you watch it for the first time because you have no idea what's going on. But it all makes sense in the end. It's good.
But was it also the first time that you saw it like yesterday, or did you watch it before?
No, I watched this for the podcast. Yeah, I only saw it.
Okay, interesting.
I saw it once, yes.
Okay,
I've seen it once. Yeah. But it does warrant a rewatch.
I mean, often those twists and turns movie, you're like, that would be interesting to see that again with the knowledge that all of this is going to happen. It makes it into a whole new movie.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but there's movies where you literally, if you watch The Sixth Sense knowing what's going to happen, it's a whole different movie. I wouldn't go that far with Duplicity, but it's fun knowing where it's going.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So my number 6 is a movie that I'm going to guess it's going to be a bit higher for you.
Okay.
No idea though. And it's Flatliners.
Haven't seen it.
Okay, really? This seems like the kind of movie that you would love.
I've written down the 6 movies that I'm missing, and
please.
3 of them are on your list already. No, we've had Steel Magnolias, Stepmom, and Flatliners. No.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think one of them might make your list. The other one, I'll talk about them later. But I did not think Flatliners had a single chance of making your list.
I didn't either, to be honest. It seems like those kind of early 90s, late 80s movies that seemed way too over the top for me, but I enjoyed it.
It's a Joel Schumacher film. That's a director that I would have never associated with your liking.
Well, I also put 8mm into my Nick Cage list.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you got a point there.
But yeah, Flatliners, I think the reason that I put it even at my number 6 spot is because of the premise. Because when I first watched this movie, which was a couple of days ago, was like, all right, this is a cool movie, it's going to make my list. But it's the movie that I thought about most the last couple of days, because the movie is about a couple of medical students, and the cast includes Kevin Bacon, of course, Julia Roberts, and Kiefer Sutherland, and the other friend who is also this character actor who I think everybody has seen, but I have no idea what his name is because, of course, I forgot.
Oliver
You can
Platt?
look it up. Sorry?
Oliver
Platt. That's right. And yeah, William Baldwin with the Baldwin brothers is also part of the main cast.
Billy Baldwin, yeah.
And yeah, it's about them, or especially Kiefer Sutherland, who proposes a theory, a hypothesis that there might be, of course, life after death. Who knows? But he wants to prove it. He wants to go there. So he says, he proposes to the other medical students that they should flatline him, so medically kill him, and then record his brain activity to see that he's definitely dead, and then bring him back after a certain time so that he can come back and tell him about what he saw. And they do that, and when he's done, he comes back with a vision, with something that he saw, and he's just so out of it, and everybody's so interested in what has happened that everybody's like, all right, I want to do it next. And so they kind of start upping each other with time, because he was dead for a minute, and then they up each other in time. So I want to do it for 110, and everybody, whoever can go higher, can do it next. But the higher you go, the more risky it is. And they do this time and time again, because they all want to see what happens after death,
Sure.
And that's not the only thing that happens when they come back. Some of what they saw kind of follows them into the real world, hallucinations or whatever, just them feeling weird things, and it's about that and them kind of escalating the whole thing. And it's such a interesting premise. I mean, completely bullshit, of course, but it's just one of those funny thought experiments. I mean, what happens after death is, I think, a question that everybody thinks about at least once or twice in their life. And
sure,
I think it's an interesting take on the whole thing.
I always associate Flatliners with the remake, because Does
with
remake
Elliot Page, right? Which came out like 2 or 3 years ago.
It's the politically correct Elliot Page now. That's the Gabe thing. Like you got always put the Sir in front of Ben Kingsley, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, and now it's Elliot Page. I mean, I would argue back then it was Ellen Page. I mean, the actor is
no,
you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, and when that movie came out, I saw the terrible reviews. And I saw that it was a remake, obviously, and then I saw that the original also had pretty bad reviews. But I do have to admit that, like, I wrote down, as I said, like 6 movies that I'm missing. I have 2 movies that I really wanted to get to, and Flatliners was one of the 2.
I think you would really enjoy that.
I do love Joel Schumacher movies.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about his movies, especially this one, is I think this happens a lot in these 80s, 90s movies. I don't know what it was, what they thought the cities looked like, but it looks like it's post-apocalyptic because everything you see is like either dark streets filled with, I don't know, homeless people and drugs and destroyed buildings, or the most beautiful art, because where they have like their whole autopsies, where they train for medical school, but where they also then set up their experiment for, flatlining each other, is also in an art museum with like these big art murals and big statues, and it looks beautiful,
Sure.
Things that you would see in a pristine art museum. But that's where you have your medical school, But even that building's kind of run down, and everything looks like it's, I don't know, somewhere in the Mad Max universe.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I think you gotta watch these movies to kind of get that, because it's always night or pretty much, and I don't know, it looks just weird.
I mean, what you're describing is very Joel Schumacher-y.
Yeah, extremely.
He's got that throughout his early movies.
Also, 8mm, like the LA that he shows you is
like
a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my number 6.
I mean, you had 876 that I haven't seen now. I mean, we're on a roll here. Let's see if we can keep this going.
Yeah, this has never happened before.
No,
usually you're the guy with more movies that I haven't seen.
That's what I'm saying. Like, usually, like these special episodes, I thought the premise was like we're going to talk about the best thing we've seen from her, meaning like the best thing we had seen up until that point. But nowadays, it feels like I have to watch everything to keep up with you. Like, we're not talking about the best thing we've seen. We're talking about literally a whole filmography now.
Well, the thing is, I needed 10 things to put on my list, and I didn't feel comfortable with anything else. I think these 10 movies fit on there, and I'm happy with them.
Right.
But I didn't have any other movie that I had watched before that I would gladly put on this list.
You got no honorables this week?
Yeah, because like Ocean's 11,
right?
it's fun, but it's just not a Julia Roberts movie, and it's not the kind of movie that I would say that's the 10th best thing. I think there's just so much other things out there, and there would just be this huge jump between that and my, I don't know, 5 or 4 or whatever.
Okay. Well, let's see what we got next. My 6 is higher for you, I would assume.
Okay.
And it's only 6 because, I'm pretty stoked about my top 6.
Okay.
6 is Pretty Woman, if you can believe it.
Yeah, it's a bit higher.
Okay. A bit higher usually means it's 1 or 2. What do you got?
My number 5 is, I think you're going to be like your 1 or 2. It's Erin Brockovich.
That's a bit higher for me.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
My 5 is August Osage County.
It's a bit higher for me.
Okay. Well, this is one hell of a show this week.
Yeah.
What do you got?
My number 4 is Closer.
That's my 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's close enough.
That's closer enough.
Yeah, all right. So Closer. Once again, a movie that I watched for this podcast, but not...
You should now just state which ones you haven't watched for this. That makes more sense.
The next 3.
Oh, the top 3? Interesting.
Are the only ones that I had watched before. Sorry. Erin Brockovich is also the only one that I'd seen before and have not rewatched.
Okay.
But yeah, Closer. That's, I think, one of the movies that's been on my watch list the longest. I've always meant to watch this movie pretty much exclusively because of Natalie Portman, because I've been a fan of hers for a long time. And yeah, I mean, she's great in this, but I think everybody just lays down a brilliant performance on, once again, a movie based on a play. And sorry, did you want to say something?
No, sorry. No, I was no. Go on. Sorry.
Okay. No, but it's got Julia Roberts, Natalie Portman, Jude Law, and once again Clive Owen in the leading roles. And they each build couples that kind of intermingle with each other. So it starts off with Jude Law meeting Natalie Portman's character and then jumping ahead in time, which is a thing that happens quite a lot. You see a couple of scenes, mostly in quite rapid succession. So like scenes that take place in like 1 or 2 days, and then jumps ahead like I don't know how many years. 1 or 2, sometimes more, I think. And yeah, it's first of all them meeting, and then Jude Law becoming a bit more of a famous person, and because of also Natalie Portman's character, who he has written a book about, and that's how he meets Julia Roberts' character and falls in love with her, and then but she then kind of meets Clive Owen later, and then it's them kind of intermingling with each other and love kind of getting crossed there. And I think it's just brilliant fucking acting and brilliant dialogue.
Yeah. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Rarely has a movie stayed with me longer than Closer did. And I've only seen it once, and it was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Julia Roberts, like the rawest I've ever seen her in. Like, like not really PG, that movie. I mean,
not at all.
Yeah, and that was a surprise to me because I hadn't seen her like that before. And I mean, the same thing could be said about Natalie Portman. And I was always wondering why you haven't watched this movie, because it's probably the sexiest Natalie Portman movie out there, right? I mean, you got to be
sure.
I mean,
well, I would argue Black Swan, but
that movie's terrifying.
Of course, as well.
That movie's absolutely terrifying.
But I mean, that's not as it's not that erotic. I guess. I mean, it does have erotic scene, but it's not showing any nudity.
Which
or
one
anything
now?
like that. Closer.
I mean, come on now. I mean, the whole like stripper scene where Clive Owen is in the booth with her.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it that erotic. It's also a bit off-putting, just also how he behaves and how the whole thing goes down, you know?
I mean, we might have a different interpretation of the word, but okay.
But I didn't want to put you down. No, I get what you mean, of course.
You're not putting me down.
I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but she's most of all a great fucking actress. And like you said, Julia Roberts, there's the scene where she has a fight with Clive Owen, and he wants her to say a couple of things out loud because she just has to hear them.
Yeah.
And that scene is, I think that's one of the scenes that stayed with me the longest. It's just so fucking great. Jesus Christ. And I didn't think that Julia Roberts was allowed to say these words.
I was going to say, yep. I feel the same way.
Because if you know her from like, I don't know, Pretty Woman and the Mona Lisa Smile, it's such a different character. And I think she should have been nominated for this.
I agree completely. Yeah. I mean, Closer. Go on, sorry.
No, please.
When did you first see this movie? Because I know it's been a while since you've seen this, because we've talked about this movie, I think, repeatedly. And as I always said, I didn't watch this because I think we also had a couple of movie trivia nights where there were questions about this movie, and I could sadly never answer them because I don't think I put questions in that because I knew you hadn't seen it. But I just said I watched it like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
2016.
I think I remember because when I saw that scene, because I think Arthur, one of our friends, because when we do a movie trivia night, we often have the category of screenshot that you wouldn't recognize instantly. And it was this one shot of Clive Owen's eyes, and there's a reflection in his eyes, you know, of him being in the strip club, and in the reflection in his eyes, you see her.
Yeah. Okay. That stayed with you. Wow.
That stayed with me. I completely forgot about it until I saw that shot, and I was like, okay.
Right.
And for some fucking reason, I had it in my mind that this movie had a sci-fi element to it. Don't know why.
Probably Gattaca.
I think that was it, because that's also one of the movies that I had on my watch list the longest. And nearly till the end, I was like, dude, is there going to be like time travel right at the end? What's going to happen? I was like, I think it was Gattaca. I thought the same thing. Yeah, it was probably that. But sorry, you want to say something about Closer?
No, I also wanted to mention that trivia night that we had, but
the last one.
Yeah, just because we recently had one for the first time in quite a few years. Actually,
it was a fun one.
Really good, yeah. But I don't want to.
Do you want to say who won?
No. No, I just don't want to. We got enough to talk about. It's already going to be a long episode.
Maybe the next episode.
Yeah, there's also like news of like this. I have to mention really quickly. Knives Out 2 and 3 are confirmed, with Netflix buying them for $400 million.
Christ.
Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig
Amadeus.
returning.
Okay.
No, Daniel
All right,
Craig.
it's his character as
Yeah.
Foghorn
Such good
Leghorn.
news. What was that?
It's a joke.
Oh, okay. But all over the place. Closer.
Okay.
Directed by Mike Nichols, who's also one of my favorite directors. Who
Is
did
he?
he did like Charlie Wilson's War,
Of course.
and The Birdcage, the remake with Robin Williams, and I mean, just a spectacular. I think also writer. I might be mistaken there, but I think writer director, and he did one of your favorite movies, which is The Graduate.
Right, which I finally bought on Blu-ray.
There you go. But yeah, Closer. It's amazing. It's just it's amazing. It's got great music by what's his name? Damien. Oh God, Damien Rice. He like the first time that, or maybe it's at the end. I don't remember now. But when Natalie Portman and Jude Law's character interact, and she's walking down the street, it plays a Damien Rice track. What was that called again? God damn it! Do you not recognize that song?
I don't think so.
Is it Damien Rice? Yeah, The Blower's Daughter. It's a great song, and it's in a great movie. Yeah. No, that's all I can
remember.
It's a fantastic movie.
Sorry, also because of the ends. Do you know how the play ends?
No, is it different?
A bit.
Okay.
Well, it's like 5 seconds longer than
okay.
ending in the movie.
Yeah. I think I read it. I read something about that when I watched it. But as I said, it's been like 5 years since I've seen this.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I think, like you said, it's one of the rawest performances by Julia Roberts, and just for that, you should watch it. And also just all the other performances.
Yeah.
Was Natalie Portman nominated for this?
I don't think anyone was nominated for this.
Really?
Oh,
let me look it up.
Nominated
for a second.
she was nominated.
Natalie Portman, right? Yeah,
and Clive Owen. Yeah.
Interesting.
I did not know this. Interesting.
I think that's also why it was so high on my to-watch list.
Yeah. But it's interesting that they are nominated and not Jude Law and Julia Roberts.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe just because of their scene in the strip club, which was also great. Just great acting.
Oh, you're talking about the different one. Sorry. Yeah. We have to somehow like include Julia Roberts' forehead veins into this conversation. Like they are like.
Do we?
Yeah. That's like one of her significant traits, isn't it? Great vein acting.
Well, I read about something about a scene in Pretty Woman where her vein was apparently quite prominent, so they had to kind of take care of that.
Did they? I mean, like watching movies now, in every movie, that's like, that's so recognizable to me that it's in every movie. She's got like these very prominent veins. Yeah, I think it's
having watched like 11 Julia Roberts movies in like 1 or 2 weeks. I didn't notice.
You didn't notice?
I always look at her lips and her nose.
Fair enough. Yeah, eyes maybe.
Because she has this little dent in her nose, but not on the tip, but on the bridge. No, under. You get those.
Right.
The thing connecting.
Sure.
Whatever.
I know what you're
very
saying.
irritating. Yeah. Not that it's bad. It's just something that my eye is always drawn to.
I'm always drawn to the vein.
Okay, good to know. Maybe I got to rewatch some stuff.
I just felt like it's. I think I associate it with Julia Roberts in a good way.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's very a thing that I think of when Julia Roberts great vein acting. Let's move on. I'm just kidding.
Vein acting. It's a whole genre.
Yeah, it is.
That's our next top 10 list.
Best vein thing we've seen.
Jesus. Okay, well, we're getting into the prominent movies, the great movies.
So what's Closer was your 4, right?
Exactly.
It was my
4?
3, so my 4 is The Normal Heart.
All right, now that's something that I haven't seen. Once again.
Okay, well, this is great. How do we manage to prepare for specials, and like we're always picking the things that the other person hasn't seen? It's quite a skill.
It was a huge list of things to go through. With
she's
a
great.
Huge list
She's got so many great things. Yep.
And The Normal Heart is actually something that I looked at and pondered if I should watch it. But
you should.
I didn't know why I didn't. I want to watch it because of some of the actors, but then I went into IMDb and I saw that she was like built like as the 10th person. So I thought it was another Charlie Wilson's War situation.
She's got more to do in this than in Charlie Wilson's War. Definitely.
Okay.
That's why it was easier for me to put it higher. because if you don't know The Normal Heart, it's an HBO movie, I think, that came out, I think in 2014, something like that.
Came out in 2014. Yeah, pretty good.
And it's about the AIDS crisis in New York when it first started. And it stars Mark Ruffalo. And I mean, the list of the it's incredible, like insane. Like, and interestingly enough, like I'm always wondering why they not why necessarily, but there's a lot of gay actors in the movie, but like the main actor isn't, and a lot of the main actors aren't. I think it's always interesting why they, you know what I mean?
Well, I just see as the second billed person Jonathan Groff, who's also gay.
But he's
as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, he is. Jonathan Groff, Jim Parsons from Big Bang Sheldon, and then you got I think Matt Bomer, who was the villain in The Nice Guys. He's so fantastic in this movie, in The Normal Heart, as Mark Ruffalo's love interest. Then you have is it
Alfred Molina?
Alfred Molina as his brother. He's fantastic. Taylor Kitsch, fantastic in this.
Who's Taylor Kitsch?
Taylor Kitsch, you know, definitely. He was in oh God, what would you know him from? I don't know. Are you on IMDb? If you see his face, you know him.
I'm looking for
Only
it right
the Brave,
now.
maybe. American Assassin. You definitely know him.
What's his name again?
Taylor Kitsch.
Okay. Well, go on. I'm sorry.
No, it's about the AIDS crisis in the early 80s and sort of them discover the gay community dealing with it all, and everyone in this group of friends in this movie is sort of getting sick and developing the symptoms, and they're trying to get the government to fund research on it and to do something about it, but everyone ignores them because, you guessed it, they're gay. And it's a true story. I think it's a... See, now, I think this is also based on a play, yes, Larry Kramer. So I don't know necessarily if... I mean, it definitely tells a... You know what I mean? It's a story that might not happen, didn't... Oh, God. It's a story that maybe didn't happen in the way of the movie, but similar stories definitely happened. And Julia Roberts plays a doctor, and one of the few doctors who actually takes care of gay patients. And she there's this fantastic scene where she's trying to pitch her research and trying to get more money, and she's just obviously not getting it, and because the government is homophobic and they're trying to make excuses why they can't fund them, horrific. And she has this great scene where she pitches it and she just goes absolute apeshit when she gets denied. And it's honestly amazing. And the whole thing, like, she, I think she had polio as a child in the movie and lost her ability to walk as a kid. And it's sort of her opening up about that to Mark Ruffalo while he's just worried about his friends and sort of finds comfort talking to Julia Roberts' character. So it's about the friendship between the two of them, and and her trying to help everyone else. And the movie is honestly, it is a horrifying, horrific watch, because it's literally like people dropping like flies. And as an audience member, you get attached to these people and you're just wondering, when's the next guy going to get symptoms and when's the next guy going to die, basically. And the movie really gets it across, like, how horrific this whole thing is. And it's still going on today. I mean, there's still no real cure for it now. Yeah,
but I think they've made some great
progress,
strides.
Of course, yeah.
Way. It's not as deadly as it was.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's directed by Ryan Murphy, who also directed Julia Roberts in Eat, Pray, Love. I don't know if that's going to make your list.
I didn't want to watch that movie. I've heard terrible things.
I've heard terrible things too, and I've watched it. And I don't understand the hate. I mean, it's not making my list, but it's, it's fine.
I mean, it's got Javier Bardem, who is a
for
great actor.
Literally 40 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he was like the big guy.
The big guy. No, it's honestly, and here it is, it's not a hidden gem, but it's underseen. So maybe if you haven't heard of this, check out The Normal Heart if you want to feel empathy for, I mean, if you want to, it's a tough watch. It really is, but it's an important story, obviously.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, the problem is just with those HBO movies, they just don't reach, especially countries like Austria.
Right, but it's been like 7 years, so they find their way over here somehow. And yeah, Ruffalo is great also. He
he's a
plays
great
like
actor.
really openly gay, like not like a secluded, like straight kind of gay, if you know what I mean.
I think
Straight
so.
kind of gay. No, but he's like, I always find it hard to find the balance for like if he, because I don't, that comes back to the point that I made earlier. I don't know if he's based on a real character.
Mhm.
If he is, then it would make sense that he portrays him like he was or is. But it's interesting the way he chooses to act gay, because there is a difference. Obviously, you can act like that it's not as obvious as it is, but he does like have all of the mannerisms that you usually connect with, like, you know, this certain type of gay.
I think, but it's just not like, it's not made up, you know. Some people just
No.
like gesture that way, and I think why not? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it should be included as well. But not that I say that you say it shouldn't be. Just I think it's a thing that gets not portrayed as much in movies, especially with like the leading actor. I mean, there's like maybe a flamboyant side character who's, you know, funny. He's the gay guy in the show, but
right.
it's rarely like the leading actor, because in movies where the main characters are gay, it's usually like, I don't know, in Brokeback Mountain, where they're quite closeted.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not a
Don't let that
Brokeback Mountain kind of gay. It's it is a
Sorry.
flamboyant kind of
It's a
gay.
great sentence. It's a Brokeback Mountain kind of gay.
Well, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, sure.
It is that
Okay.
flamboyant side character. Just you got like tons of them as the main characters in this movie.
Sure, I guess.
Once again, this is not. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. It's how it tells their story. Obviously,
That's the best thing that I've heard all week.
happy I could oblige.
Okay. Sorry.
You would love this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, love it. You would enjoy it.
Interesting. I just thought it wouldn't make my list because I thought her role was so small, but okay, good to know.
Parsons is great in it too. Jim Parsons.
I think he's a cool guy. He seems like a cool guy, or a cool actor at times, but
He's really
I
good, man.
haven't really seen him in anything except Big Bang Theory, and I think one other role at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one of the best acting ensembles. I mean, we're gonna get to one maybe now, but yeah. What is it? 3?
My number 3 is Pretty Woman, which I think
Oh.
was your 6.
6, yeah. Interesting. I now know your 2 and 1, obviously.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I had trouble. I think when I wrote my list down, my 1 was clear and my 2 was pretty clear. But with 3 and 4, once again, I had trouble. And then I picked Pretty Woman over Closer, because I think Closer was the better acting.
Yeah.
And I think overall probably the better movie. But Pretty Woman is just a movie that I personally love. And it's just one of those classic Hollywood 80s rom-coms. And I think it's just one of the best in
you
that
saw
genre.
this late too, didn't you? I remember us talking about this because...
Like 2 years ago.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's pretty late. I mean, you saw this in your 20s or whatever. I
guess
grew
so,
up
yeah.
on that movie. Like, because we talked about this, like, there's movies that I feel like everyone has seen, but then
Mhm.
again, there's movies that you feel like everyone has seen that I haven't. Like, it's all like, obviously, I know my mom used to love Pretty Woman, and we always watched it when it was on television or whatever. And so
Yeah.
I was surprised that you hadn't seen it, but
Oh, well, I just
Great.
looked up. I watched it 5 years ago.
well, there you go.
2016.
Yeah, that's
December
the last time that
2016.
we were in a bar together. I remember us talking about it.
2016, yeah.
I
a
don't
long
know.
time ago. But yeah, I think my taste in movie has changed drastically, especially when I think about what I watched when I was 12 or whatever. And I enjoy these movies immensely ever since my teen years. And Pretty Woman is, like I said, one of the best in its genre. And it's just one of the most iconic roles as well,
It
just
is.
because of the song.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. And Julia Roberts plays a prostitute who, by chance, meets Richard Gere's character, who is a very, very wealthy guy who picks her up because he needs direction, then strikes a deal with her to pay her for 1 week. And he's going to pay her $3,000 to be at his back-end call, because once again, he's lost a girlfriend because he's too involved in his work. And he just doesn't find time for a relationship. And he just needs somebody, first of all, to keep him company, and to somebody he can bring to business meetings and like dinners and networking occasions, whatever. And yeah, it's a great opportunity for her. And
Yeah,
it's,
I think everyone has seen Pretty Woman. I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah.
of course. And, you know, yeah, even if you haven't seen it, I think you all know what's going to happen. Love is gonna strike.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely hilarious, sweet, and so well acted. It's just a very young Julia Roberts. I think she was 22 at the time.
Okay.
And showed so much of what she was going to do in later years, of course, as well, because she is just great, like we said, in most of these films. But this just, this classic Hollywood movie, and yeah, it's just a classic. Like you said, I don't know anybody who hasn't heard of this movie.
Yeah. I think iconic is the best way to describe it.
Iconic is a perfect word, yeah. And apparently there was a scene, the first love scene between the two of them, where she was so nervous that she popped away and she had this very big vein on her forehead. So the director climbed into bed with them.
Right.
And so to kind of massage her, to kind of keep her calm, and then
that sounds horribly
try it
wrong.
again. It sounds horribly wrong. Right.
This is Gary Marshall, right? Who directed this?
I think so. It's Gary Marshall, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also got Jason Alexander in this.
Yeah.
Who you don't see in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Who's, of course, best known for his role in Seinfeld.
Yep.
But, I mean, you got it as your 6 as well. And, yeah, it's an iconic movie, but I didn't think it would be that high, to be honest, because it just feels like a movie that would be less up your alley, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean. No, as I grew up on this movie.
Yeah.
This is...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't really revisit it nowadays. And I do feel like my 5 through 1, like, it wasn't going to crack my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But it just warrants a place on the list for sure. It's iconic. It's and my first introduction to Julia Roberts too. And I mean, there's some great scenes in there where she goes shopping, and obviously everyone just like wants to get rid of her because she looks like a hooker, and then she comes back with a credit card. That'll teach him. No, he's just having great music, and just, I mean, I keep repeating myself, but it's just iconic. It deserves to be on the list, and I don't feel like we need to pitch that movie much more.
Yeah, I think all we gotta say is that if you haven't watched this movie, do it fucking now.
Yeah,
whatever you do this.
Gere and Gere and Roberts have great chemistry with each other.
Extremely. The scenes between the two of them are just so genuine.
Yeah.
Well, genuine. It's
they
Hollywood kind of genuine, you know.
Yeah.
Not something that would happen in real life, but it's this kind of movie that you watch and you feel like you could be in this situation and you want to be there, and I don't know.
You want to rub the vein.
Jesus Christ.
That's an interesting anecdote. Richard Gere's. I'm talking to Richard Gere. He's a great vein actor too. My 3 was closer. So what's your 3? Or was that your 3?
That was
I'm all
my
over
3,
the place.
yeah.
So my 3 was close. What's your 2?
This feels like the episode that we did, I don't know, like 40 episodes ago, maybe even more, where we got ourselves a couple of beers and recorded like 1 a.m.
Well, I can understand why you feel that way. I feel like I'm a bit... I don't feel as over the place this week as you might feel. I'm not. I love it. I love it so far.
Don't worry. I'm gonna edit the episode anyway. So
Perfect.
I can cut it together that I sound a bit more comprehensive.
No, I think we're fine.
Yeah? Okay. So my number 2, I alluded to it earlier, I think, is August, Osage County.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know what you want is going to... Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a movie that I've watched before a couple of years ago. And I was so surprised by this movie because I watched this at a time when I think had gotten Netflix like half a year ago or whatever, and I had quite a bit of time on my hands, so I always put 200 movies on my watch list, and then at the end of every month,
as you do, yeah.
There's so many things still on my watch list, and then at the end of every month, like a week before that, I went through the list, clicked on every title that I had on there to see if it's going to be taken down at the end of the month, because that happens a lot.
That's dedication, yeah.
And then I watched everything that was going to be taken down, which if you followed me on Letterboxd in I don't know, what was it, 2016 or something, you would see a wide arrangement of movies, and that's why.
Right.
And I watched this movie, I think around that time. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I watched it in some other time, but I was so surprised by this because I then clicked on it and I saw this huge, crazy fucking cast because it's got Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Chris Cooper, Benedict Cumberbatch, Margot Martindale, Ewan McGregor. I think that was a great pronunciation right there.
And we talking about Ewan. Yeah, Ewan.
And Ewan
McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. And Aisling, what's her name?
Abigail Breslin.
Abigail Breslin. Breslin? Breslin.
Yeah.
Who is also in, what's it called? Zombieland and Little Miss Sunshine, of course. And once again, a movie based on a play.
No, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt here because you listed everyone except my favorite actress of the whole thing, which is Julianne Nicholson. I think she is fucking amazing
as Ivy, and I just forgot her name. I even thought about her, but I completely spaced her name and I didn't want to let it on.
Yeah.
But you're right. And sorry, of course, also, I hate myself.
Chris Cooper?
Fuck. Chris Cooper, I already mentioned. Sam Shepard, but Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah.
Who has also been
not Dylan McDermott, but Dermot Mulroney.
It's a great
Dylan McDermott is it? Yeah. Who he was in it? Like you listed a movie where he was in.
Yeah.
Today, what was it? I had to laugh when I saw it in the credits. I didn't know he was in it. Was it like maybe Steel Magnolias? Is he in that?
No.
Stepmom?
He is in My Best Friend's Wedding, which is not on my list.
No.
My
Best Friend's Wedding got Dermot Mulroney.
You're killing me.
No. 100%.
Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney from August Osage County.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And you mentioned
Dylan McDermott.
Dylan McDermott.
This is the most confusing conversation we've ever had.
Yeah.
He was in something that you listed. I think maybe Flatliners or Steel Magnolias.
Maybe Steel Magnolias, but how do you write his fucking name?
Dylan McDermott?
Yeah. McDermott was in maybe in a I think he plays the husband in Steel Magnolias, but he's got a very small role.
Right. I just had to chuckle when I saw it now going through the IMDb credits, and I was like, there's Dylan McDermott. I know that Dermot Mulroney will be talking.
You're right. It's Steel Magnolias, which also got Sam Shepard.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. There was
full circle. No, but this is the most confusing thing. There's an SNL sketch.
Yeah.
Dylan McDermott, Dermot Mulroney. Look it up. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he's good in this as well, but
he's great in this. Everyone is great in this.
Everybody.
Margot, where is it? Martindale?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
One of the great characters. She is fucking great. She's in so many movies, and there's even a joke about this in BoJack Horseman where she also plays herself. She is just amazing.
Yeah.
And once again, Julia Roberts and Meryl Streep were nominated for Oscars, very much deservingly so. I think a couple of other nominations should have been given out here, maybe even for screenplay.
100%.
Because the dialogue
written by Tracy Letts. Tracy Letts. It's based on a play, which we've had before. Yeah, also by him. But Tracy Letts, he plays Henry Ford II in Ford vs. Ferrari. He's a known character actor. I didn't know. I had no idea that he wrote August Osage County.
Yeah, and I just click on him. He's also in Lady Bird and
he's
Big
the dad.
Short. And
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's a great actor. I loved him in Ford vs. Ferrari.
Henry Ford II.
Yeah.
Ah.
Guy. Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, it's about Sam Shepard plays the husband of Meryl Streep's character, but he's only in pretty much the first scene because it starts with everybody getting a call that he's gone missing. So everybody drives down to Meryl Streep's house because they all play her children or other relatives to support her, and then of course the inevitable. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word. The
inevitable.
Thank you very much. That word happens, and of course, he's dead. So it's about the funeral and them trying to support their mother, who's a very heavy pill addict. And Julia Roberts is, I think, the oldest child who's just had enough, and she's going through a divorce. And there's just so many twists and turns and so much,
I would say, too
drama
many.
in there. Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think especially the ending with I already once again forgot her name.
Julia Nicholson.
Julia Nicholson.
No, I agree that it's acted phenomenally, but that twist, I mean, combined with I felt like it was one or two twists too many. Because that's a fucked up family.
It's much, but I think it is a play, and I think for that, I think it's just perfect because it's just supposed to be some of the worst things, just of course also psychological abuse that they've suffered from their mom, which has very much shaped them in their adult life and how they handle things. And of course, for example, the youngest sister played by Juliette Lewis, who just goes along with everything because she just, as long as she smiles, everything is going to be okay in that kind of way. And then, of course, Julia Roberts, who has to be the tough one on her mom because nobody wants to say no to her when she's being the most horrid person that you can imagine.
Right.
And Chris Cooper, who is just so sweet.
Good. Chris Cooper is so good in this movie.
Son, because he's married to Margot Martindale's character, and they have a son, Benedict Cumberbatch. And he tries to defend his son because his mom is so tough on him as well. And just, he's such an idiot. He can't do anything right. And he just tries to be there for his son. But to get back to Julia Roberts and Meryl Streep, I think they have a couple of fight scenes which are just gold. I mean, if you go by acting, I think that's just one of her strongest performances once again. I think that and Closer.
Yeah,
perfect.
I mean, and a couple of others that we're going to get to.
There's something else down the line.
I have to say, it's so well written that it's like she wants to be nothing like her mom, but then again is sort of the closest thing that there is to Meryl Streep's character. Like she's the closest to. She's like a younger version of her compared to her sisters. I feel like.
Yeah.
Gray-haired Julia Roberts.
I think there's also just this great arc with her sister and with her sister kind of giving her the blame that she's the only one left to care of them, and she doesn't want to do it anymore, so they have to do it, and they can give her shit for that, you know? I mean, what are you supposed to say to that? I think that's also just a great scene. Yeah.
I love this movie. It's my 5. It could have been higher, but you know, she's got so many great movies, Julia Roberts, and this is, I completely agree with everything you said. It's one of the strongest ensemble movies I can remember seeing in the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also not underrated, but I know very few people that know of this movie. It's not as mainstream as it could be, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
I think if you drop that name in a bar, only people who love watching movies regularly know that movie.
Only a few people would pick it up. That's a great reference. Right? Because you dropped it. I'm going to I know, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, it's our top 2 movies, and I know one of them, and I can only guess the other, but what's your number 2?
I'm going to steal your thunder, and I'm sorry, dude, but
Let's
it's just
go.
the way it is. My 2 is your 1,
right.
Which is Notting Hill.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, I forgot something.
My number 1 is Notting Hill. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to make a bold statement and say it's the best rom-com I've seen. I think that's the case.
Ever?
I think so.
I mean, it's just up there with, I don't know if it's a rom-com, but About Time, for example.
Interesting.
It's got this other kind of romantic movie, you know, but it's just such a feel-good movie. I think this is a movie that you have to love, or you're just a monster.
Well, it's like About Time is a British movie, and I think Notting Hill is one too, right? I mean, it's in the title, but I think it's also, it's directed by, who did Notting Hill?
Mike Newell, I think. Yeah, Roger Mitchell, but it's written by Richard Curtis, who's written About Time and also directed. And he's also done like all of the great British romantic movies like Love Actually, and I think 4 Weddings and a Funeral as well.
Yes. He wrote
like the guy for that genre. But
that makes sense then, your comparison, of course, About Time, Notting Hill. Yeah, I didn't. Shame on me. I forgot that he wrote Notting Hill. Of course he did, yeah. I mean, I love Hugh Grant too, especially in that time. And 4 Weddings and a Funeral is another one. I mean, I would fall in love with the guy. I think he's charming as hell.
Yeah, definitely.
And, I mean, Notting Hill. I think there's movies that you don't really need to pitch, but we're doing it anyway. Maybe Julia Roberts plays Anna Scott, one of the most famous American actresses, and sort of her falling in love with the guy who works at a bookstore or who owns a bookstore in Notting Hill in London, and played by Hugh Grant, obviously. And his neighbor, played by how to pronounce his name? Reese Ifans.
His roommate, not his neighbor.
Oh, sorry, I meant his roommate. Yeah. Steals every scene he's in. When he's outside, when the photographers are, and when he's just posing for the photographers in his underwear. Fantastic.
Just the accent is perfect.
Yeah.
And also his friends. It's
his
just
friends,
the kind of movie you want to live inside that movie. When you watch it, you're like, that's what love is. That's what life is, right? And then you go outside, you're like, that's life is nothing like this.
We have a virus.
Yeah. But you just wish you could live inside that screenplay, inside that movie.
Yeah. It's just so good. I mean, it's got cheesy elements too, which is in every rom-com, obviously.
But
and
the right amount.
I know. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's the kind of movie that you don't have to pitch. I think, everybody has seen it. Right?
I would hope so.
Have you seen it? I'm talking to you.
Is anyone out there? Right. I mean, we're already way long. This episode's already going on. So let's do your 2.
Christ. 2 was Osage County. 1 is Notting Hill.
So you're
it's
done.
your number 1.
Oh,
I'm done.
I'm so sorry. Well, the best thing I've seen from Julia Roberts is, I don't know what it was for you, 5?
Yeah.
Erin Brockovich.
Yeah, I knew this was going to be your number 1.
I mean, I knew it too. And it is the movie that she won the Academy Award for too.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love this movie. I've seen it a couple of times now, directed by Steven Soderbergh. And it's about Erin Brockovich, a real life person who has a nice little cameo in the diner as a waitress. If you watch the movie, pay attention to that. That's the real one right there. And it's about what is it now? Jesus
single
Christ. Single mom trying to make
a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or lawyer's assistant.
Lawyer's assistant, yeah. She needs to make money and finds a job at Albert Finney's office. Finney. Well, Albert Finney is the guy who was in Miller's Crossing. He plays Leo. That's why I mentioned him, because I love him from Erin Brockovich. One of my favorite side characters, or support, I would say he's supporting characters, is his character in Erin Brockovich. And also you got Berta from 2.5 Men as his secretary.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Conchita Farrell, I believe her name is. But I'm listing things that are not important for the movie. It's then about sort of her fighting to solve a water poison crisis in a little area in the southern parts of America. Is that right? Is it in the southern? Is it in the south?
Could be Texas.
Is it Texas?
You keep talking. I'm gonna look this up. It's in California. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's in California. Yeah,
but I think Southern California.
Sure.
Let's say
that. And it is similar to that, to Dark Waters, which I mentioned a couple of times. And as I rewatched Erin Brockovich after I rewatched Dark Waters, and it's just amazing how similar the premises of the movies are. Like, it's honestly, it could be the same story that they're telling, but it isn't.
And the thing is, they're both true stories as well.
They're both true stories, which is just insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is, I think, her best performance. I think she's as this like woman who does not give a fuck what anyone says at work, because she does like dress rather eccentrically and maybe shows a little bit too much skin for the workplace, and she just doesn't give a shit about it. Everyone who tells her something, like everyone who complains about it to her, she's just like, yeah, well, just don't worry about it. I want to dress the way that I want to dress,
Yeah, sure.
And I love the relationship between her and Albert Finney's character, because he sort of warms up to her over time and sees how dedicated and how intelligent she is. And there's just so many great scenes of her like shutting down other people. And she does it so fucking well. There's this one great scene where she talks about the like people who are obviously they're like, because there's a company who puts poison like in the water supply, and they're confronting them about it, and they're just like throwing away the accusations, but she's just like, she holds like a great monologue throwing him down, and she just offers him like a glass of water from that area. It's such a great takedown at the end. So you have it, take a drink if you don't think it's real. And obviously Aaron Eckhart as her love interest, who I think is fantastic as well. It's this biker from next door who falls in love with her. And the first time that I saw it, I always associate this movie with his creepy smile at the end. I don't. Have you seen this movie recently?
I think it's been like at least 2 years.
There's this great smile at the end where I don't want to give away too much, but it's just such a creepy smile. It's such a creepy smile.
Sadly, I don't remember.
It's great.
Damn. I think she just has such a presence in this movie. Yeah. But I would actually argue that her performance in Closer was better, or I guess it just felt more authentic because she does an accent in Erin Brockovich. And so many times when actors do that and I just know them without the accent, it just kind of throws me off a bit.
Fair.
But yeah, her performance is still great.
Yeah, I think this is her best performance. I mean, it's completely different roles, obviously, but
yeah,
I think it's. I was so happy to hear afterwards that she did win for this movie because I didn't realize in 2000 whenever this was given.
Dude, when did this movie come out?
99.
99? No,
2000. Sorry,
yeah.
The plot is in 1999. Sorry, yeah, 2000.
In 1999, dude, they worked fast.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it was also, Jesus, what? Was, first of all, nominated for Best Picture, and who was nominated for that as a producer? Danny DeVito.
Interesting. Yeah.
So he's got an Oscar nomination for Best Movie.
Sure.
Sorry.
He produced quite a few movies, didn't he, DeVito?
I guess so, yeah. But it's just funny to see the only Oscar nomination that he has is for Best Movie in a movie.
You sure that's his only one?
It is. I just looked it up. But he's produced 42 things, including shows.
I thought you were going to list them all.
So we got.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
Gattaca. He produced Gattaca.
That's the full circle moment we needed.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I mean, I think it's an interesting list, and I think it's the most diverging list we've had so far, and especially like picks that the other person hasn't seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do we have any?
I do. Yeah.
Honorable mentions. Yeah, let's go. What do you have?
The closest ones are one that was really close to making my list was Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Wonder.
Yeah.
It's just not a really big part from Julia Roberts again. But it's a great movie about a loving family. It's just such a loving family. And she's the mother with Owen Wilson. Great. Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, another Gere and Roberts collaboration. Another one of those movies that I grew up on. Mm-hmm. And it's got like terrible ratings, I think. I love this movie when I grew up. Haven't seen it since then.
Yeah, it's got a 2.7 on Letterboxd.
I thought you were going to say on IMDb.
No, it's like a 5.4.
Yeah. No, this is... I mean, 100% honesty, if you love Pretty Woman, you would love Runaway Bride.
I am not sure if I've seen this actually. Like, I don't know how many years ago. I think I have, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Then I have Fireflies in the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie. With one of the most despicable Willem Dafoe performances I've ever seen.
Christ, okay.
And one of the
you
best...
have seen Wild at Heart, right?
Yes. Oh God, come on. Yeah. And also, I have to say, in Fireflies in the Garden, there's Ryan Reynolds plays the main character, and Julia Roberts is his mom, and it's told through flashbacks. And the young Ryan Reynolds actor is so phenomenal. The movie itself isn't great. I mean, it isn't worthy of making my top 10 list, but it's good. But the guy who plays him, the young Ryan Reynolds, he's called Caden Boyd. He's fantastic in that movie. Fantastic.
Interesting.
And then, I mean, I don't know. El Secreto de sus Ojos. Have you watched the remake?
No, I didn't want to because I'd rather watch the original.
Yeah. My Best Friend's Wedding, which is one of her most iconic roles, which we haven't mentioned.
I didn't like that movie. I watched it for this podcast, and there's just so many things wrong with it, in my opinion. But I get why it's like this classic 80s, 90s rom-com. But
I think it's
wasn't for
fun.
me. Yeah.
I got 3 more. Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. Have you watched this?
I haven't.
It's Mel Gibson being crazy. But Julia
it's
Roberts.
Just Mel Gibson, okay.
Yeah, it's just he's in love with Julia Roberts in the movie. Sort of becomes obsessed with her. I Love Trouble with Nick Nolte.
Right.
Another one of those movies I grew up on, which I haven't seen in 15 plus years. And which has terrible ratings.
Yeah,
and it's also
peaks on a 4.
I know, dude. I don't know what's going on. And the last one is Everyone Says I Love You Woody Allen movie, a Woody Allen musical.
I tried to watch that one for the special, but I didn't get around to it.
Yeah, it's weird
Sadly.
as fuck. But listen to the cast of Everyone Says I Love You. It's insane because I
Woody
didn't-
Allen, right?
Well, Woody, yeah.
He always
Woody
got
Allen.
the craziest cast.
Julia Roberts, Edward Norton,
Mm-hmm.
Drew Barrymore,
Mm-hmm.
Natalie Portman, Natasha Lyonne, Alan Alda. Yes. But all of them are singing in this movie. It's
Oh, I have
literally
to
a
watch
Woody
it.
Allen musical. It's insane. Yeah, I think that's it. What do you got?
Nice. I got, first of all, what I tried to watch but didn't have time to or couldn't find it was Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, directed by George Clooney. Would have loved to have seen that in time. But I got Mystic Pizza, which is, I think, one of her very first roles ever.
Yeah, I think so.
I enjoyed that one. And Ocean's 11.
Sure.
And that's it. Wonder as well, I guess. But it was just, too little of a role. And
Yeah.
Money Monster. I enjoyed Money Monster.
Yeah, it was fine. I thought it was fine.
A fine movie, yeah. And I think that's pretty much my honorable list. I would have liked to have seen Larry Crown as well, with
I
Tom
haven't seen-
Hanks, and also
it looks
directed
terrible.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems quite generic.
Yeah.
But
And you have seen Hook, right?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't. I haven't either. But I don't know how big her role is as I think Tinkerbell. I think.
Yeah, I mean she's the third person build, but who knows?
And I got Sleeping with the Enemy, which I haven't seen.
Watched it for this podcast.
Yeah.
Terrible movie.
Terrible movie.
Really weirdly sexist and just terrible. There's this one scene which I had to watch like 5 times where she throws a rock to destroy a lamplighter, like a lamppost, like the, what's it called?
I think I know what you mean. Light bulb?
The light bulb, thank you very much. And you see the shot is from behind the light bulb, right? So it looks down at her from behind the light bulb.
Right.
And she throws the stone, and you see it's like 20 centimeters, like 10 inches below the light bulb, and then it just drops out of there and pops. And I don't know why they chose that shot.
Right.
Jesus Christ, why didn't they put the camera like behind her? Because when she throws the stone again at the one next to it, they do it from behind her, so you don't know where the stone lands, but you see exactly where the stone goes, and it doesn't pop, right? It just drops out of there and then pops, so there's just somebody behind it with like a button.
That's filmmaking in the 80s. That's an 80s movie, right?
That's no excuse, dude.
That's what
They're
you say.
amazing movies from the 60s. I mean, Alien was done in the 70s. And
No, come on. I'm not comparing
timeless.
it to I'm just saying maybe the special effects were what they needed to be.
No, of course, but if you see that it looks terrible, do it
I know.
again. You do not need to include this shot. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. I don't
But
know.
yeah, it's got some very over the top. I think she was good, but
Yeah.
her husband and then her
She's always
love interest later was just weird and very like possessive as well.
right.
Like you need to be protected. But the ending was kind of interesting.
Right. The last thing that I haven't seen, which I wanted to see, I mentioned there were 2 things I really wanted to get to, which one was Flatliners and the other one was the Pelican Brief. Now, the Pelican Brief, I started watching this years ago and for whatever reason haven't finished it. And it's a John Grisham novel, I think, that it's based on. And everything about it seems like it would, I would enjoy, but I just didn't get around to it. And I don't think the ratings are that good either. So I don't know.
They're okay. I want to watch this as well, but it's like 2 hours 20.
Yeah.
And so, once again, didn't get around to it.
And really the last thing which I forgot to mention as an honorable mention is The Mexican.
Also a film that I wanted to watch. It's with Brad Pitt, right?
With Brad Pitt and with James Gandolfini, who's the star of the movie.
I love James Gandolfini.
I know you do. He steals the
great.
movie. And it's so interesting.
J.K. Simmons. Gene
J.K.
Hack.
Simmons, yeah. Gene Hackman. Oh God. You shouldn't know that Gene Hackman is in this movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's not
we shouldn't have told me that because I might have forgotten, but now I won't.
I'm sorry. No, but cut it. And then you forget it. No, you'll forget about it. It's just, I was so surprised to see him. You know, it's not like a story spoiler at all. I didn't know he was in it. But this came out in 2001, which is the same year that Ocean's 11 came out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting to see like Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts, like they're lovers in The Mexican. And then you got George Clooney and Julia Roberts in Ocean's 11, and also Brad Pitt is in there. So it's interesting. But
Yeah,
the Mexican, it's a fine movie where Brad Pitt is a complete doofus. So I don't know what to make of that. But Julia Roberts is good.
Yeah. I'd love to see Brad Pitt as a doofus. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed
Burn After Reading.
Burn After Reading, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. Like just of him being a complete idiot.
Yeah, it
But
seemed more dramatic than
Gandolfini
that.
is fantastic in it.
Yeah, he's just so fucking good.
He's really, really good in this. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing.
That is the whole
think-
thing.
I think we've gone on for quite a bit, but
Yeah.
you know, great actress, a lot of things to talk about, and
Yeah, and we both have like recommendations from the other person now that we need to check out.
yeah, and I think in our honorables, we've mentioned quite a few movies that we both haven't seen because there's just so many things with Julia Roberts
Yeah.
and impossible to watch in a week or 4.
Well, you tried
I
your
mean,
best.
I tried.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I mean, another special in the bag, episode 60, which is crazy. I think it's our 15th special, right? 60 divided by 4.
That sounds
be
right. Yeah,
12.
math.
15, sorry. Yeah, that's mad. And thank
No, I
you
said
for anybody.
math. But it's also math.
That as well. But yeah, thank you for anybody who's stuck around and who enjoyed another special. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy.
100%.
And if you got any Julia Roberts recommendations or any movies that we missed, please put them in the list or in the comments below. Tell us what your favorite thing from Julia Roberts is, because yeah, huge filmography.
Right.
Interested if we missed anything.
Terrific actress. Really is.
And yeah, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a subscribe if you want. You can reach us on any podcast platforms, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, etc. And you can find us at Best Thing Radio and at
That's right.
Twitter
Also,
and at Best Thing Radio on Twitter and Instagram, where you can see the cover art that Flo is going to design. It's also our thumbnail on YouTube, so you can see 4 terrific pictures of Julia Roberts in her different roles, looking in different directions. And yeah.
yeah. If you have any connections to Miss Roberts, please let her know about this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. She can get in contact with us. You know, we'll be happy to.
Yeah, we can do a special with her, you know,
Yeah.
if you're interested.
Sure.
Yeah,
If you're interested, yeah,
doable.
sure. Absolutely.
And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much for listening.
Watch something good.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.